Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Drone Talk. And today we're going to be talking about leveling up in indie comics. Now, Larry Higgins, the creator of Niobe Comic, he's going to hopefully make it on. He's currently on the road at someone's house, and so his laptop wasn't working, and they're trying to wire him in through the computer that they got there. So hopefully it works and he gets in. So real quick, let's talk business, guys. Did you know that Demons Volume 2 is currently on Indiegogo? We're at $2,644. Okay, if we can get to $3,000, okay, everyone at the physical backing will get the exclusive trading cards. Okay, everyone who backs this will get the exclusive trading cards. So if you haven't backed it yet, and if you want to back it, the link is going to be put in the description. It's in the description already, but it's also going to be put in the chat. So there you go. You guys can go check that out if you want. We got Tank Ferret in the house saying, "Hail, Draw and Talk. How you doing?" And hail the chat. We got my boy Justin Ori in the house saying, "I want to be at level 1, maybe 2 by the end of the year." Do you always got to level up, bruh? And then we got Alan Ellsworth in the house. We have Samurai Raccoon in the house. We got Britton in the house. And we got Allie in the house as well. So that's awesome. So I put in the chat, and if you didn't, where's my... If you weren't able to, if you didn't see that message... Here we go. I want to draw Batman in different styles, just for funsies. And so I want a list of like favorite movies and whatnot that you want to see Batman in. So I've got Lord of the Rings already down. I've got Star Wars. Larry, you in? I hear you.
Sort of. I gotta up your volume here so I can hear what you're saying.
Okay. Let's see.
I'm using someone else's computer. I don't know where anything is on this thing.
Oh no, you're good. Well, you look good. We see you.
I know, but I can't hear you. I gotta up the volume on his speakers here. All right, try talking again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, barely.
Barely?
What's going on?
Nothing much, man. Just glad that you're here.
Yeah, well, I'm on the road. That's why this is such a shoddy setup. We're filming for a different YouTube channel called Die Roll Die, and it's a Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game channel. And it's not like 4 guys from the internet. We're actually like 4 guys that get together and sit around a table, play Dungeons and Dragons. So that's what we're up to tonight. And I'm like, boys, I got this interview to do though, and it's my boy Tyler. And I'm coming on the Drone Talk, and I gotta take some time out and hang out with my boy, man.
For sure. Some people are saying in the chat that you should just go audio, just have your thing, because they said that you're really laggy.
Yeah, but I don't know why that is. This is like top-notch internet here. Like I don't get the problem.
I don't know. Is it because you're in Canada?
It's still laggy to me.
Yeah, I don't know, but we'll keep it. So everyone, Larry LP's in the house because we have a Kickstarter right here. Sorry, I was watching your video, so let me refresh this. We have Avani Origins #1 comic book. Avani was a villain in the Niobe, in a previous Niobe comic. Now she's getting her own spin-off series, Niobe Origins #1. Look at these awesome covers that come with it. I hope that people click on the thumbnail after we're done with this video just because they see boobs. And then yeah, guys, the link is in the description below. Larry's the creator. Larry, what made you want to do a spin-off series on your character?
People kept asking me to. No, people were asking about Avani. They want to know who she was, what made her click. You see an interesting character, and the first thing you're always curious about is their origin story. And we never really talked about Avani's history. when she first did #2. It was just more of here she is, and she's in your face, and she's ready to rip your throat out. Here's the. But with every great villain, or even anti-heroes, many like to call her, there's always an interesting backstory that goes along with it. What is exactly is the cause of their motivations, so to speak. So we could have told it in a Niobe story, but we felt that Avani was strong enough of a character to kind of stand out on her own. And this is kind of our first. That
is she gonna have? Is it just Avani Origins #1 and this is it, or is there gonna be an issue 2 or 3? Or just Avani Origins #1?
Well, I don't know.
Kind of like the Wolverine.
It all depends on the people.
Give the people
right?
what they want.
Right now, it's set up as a one-shot. But if any decent writer will leave the door open, in something like that, in case that there is, an interest, right? So we definitely leave, something, open, that if we ever want to return and say do an Avani #2, that's certainly going to be a possibility.
Justin in the chat wants to know what her powers are.
Avani is all about water manipulation. She can, kind of like Hydro Man, I guess I would say, from like Spider-Man, if you will. She can, turn into water and control water. She can also spit acid in your face, which is strong enough to burn the skin right off. She can also rip your throat out with her like razor sharp claws, and she's slightly stronger than the average man.
Oh, nice. Well, she looks good. She definitely kicked my butt. That's for sure. I might let her, to be honest.
Tyler, I'm gonna have to do that suggestion and just get off camera here. Everything is so laggy on this computer.
Oh, you're good. You're good. So today I wanted to. Ali asked if they're digital copies. Yes, you can get a digital copy, Ali, on the Kickstarter. Right now, I put the link in the chat. The link is also in the description. I backed it. At the digital level because I didn't want to pay those international fees. One day in the world, we will not have international fees, but until then.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, right? I find that about half we have like 90 backers, 90, maybe 91, 92 backers, something like that. And half of them, Tyler, are digital.
But yeah, but people love digital.
It's not even that they love digital. It's that a lot of people are backing digital for the same reason that you are. Because of the expenses, right? So if they lived in Canada, it would cost me about, I don't know, $6 to $8 to send them out like one single comic book. If you live in the States, bare minimum for me, that's $12.
That's a lot. That's a lot for you.
Right. And so if that's how much it's going to cost me, that's how much I have to ask people to pay me to ship it. And so a lot of people are like, well, we want to support Larry. We like Larry and we want to read Avani. But hell, if you add up, $10 for the comic and then $12 for shipping, some people that's a deal breaker, and I get that. You know what I mean? So a lot of people will go for that $5 option, and that's $5 Canadian. It's not even $5 US. You know what I mean? In the States, that's probably like, I don't know, $4.10 or something, right? Like,
yeah.
And so the digital option is great, so people can still take part. They still get to read the story. They're not breaking the bank to do it. And for me, it's great because you know what? Well, that's one less book I have to mail out, one less package I have to make, one last piece of effort I don't got to do.
Yeah, digital, guys. Digital is a great way to support creators. It's such a good. I mean, a lot of people are like, Tyler, how come that your prices on your graphic novels are so expensive? I'm like, because it's a heavy book. Paper's heavy. And so I've got to add in some of the shipping costs in that. So yeah, digital is a good place, is a good way to do it. And Ali in the chat says Larry expected a backer tomorrow.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing: you can back today. This is what people don't understand about Kickstarter, and it blows my mind every time I hear this because Kickstarter's been around for a little while. But when you back a Kickstarter, you don't have to wait till you have money. You don't have to wait for payday because Kickstarter doesn't take your money when you back it. It only takes your money at the end of the funding period, which in this case, there's like 9 days left or 10 days left. And it only takes your money if you are fully funded. Okay.
For sure.
So, like, you know, the way Indiegogo works is if I was to back Tyler's book right now, say like I threw down $40 on his book, it's going to take that money out of my account right away. If you back on Kickstarter, that doesn't happen. It will take your money out in 10 days from now, but you have to make sure that the money is in there when it tries, because it's going to try for 2 weeks straight if it's not.
For sure. So make sure, guys, that when you do back a Kickstarter, you look how many days to go and make sure, like, oh, okay, the campaign ends in, you know, for Larry's case, 10 days. Make sure you got that money in 10 days. I think that was one of the big reasons why I didn't do another Kickstarter. I went to Indiegogo is because I had a couple problems with like 10 different pledges, and then I never saw them.
Right. So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah,
guys, if you're a creator, and I know this is supposed to be about leveling up and whatever, but you know, I'm just having a conversation with my boy here right now. If you, oh God, how do I phrase this?
Just do it, man. Just go for it.
If you do a Kickstarter, you got to understand that there's going to be what we call a certain amount of failed pledges.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And this is what happens. Someone has good intentions. Okay, they back your project. They're into it. Maybe they see something they like. And say they do it right at the beginning of the crowdfunding period. And then 30 days goes by and they have forgotten all about the fact that they backed it, or, you know, maybe they spent a little bit too much money that week, or, you know, whatever circumstances happen, and they just don't have the funds in their bank account. Kickstarter will try to collect those funds for 2 weeks. If it fails to collect those funds within 2 weeks, it counts as a failed pledge, and that's money that Tyler doesn't get, right? And if you have enough of those, that can really hurt your production, because, you know, let's say you do a Kickstarter and it's a $5,000 Kickstarter, but let's say, you know, $800 worth you're not able to collect. Well, instead of working with that $5,000 now you're working with $4,200. And don't forget, folks, that whether it's Kickstarter or Indiegogo, they're going to collect their fees. So, you know, imagine another $200 to $300 gone because of that. Now I'm working with maybe $4,000 or $3,900 because of failed pledges.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. So when you So when you're gonna do a Kickstarter, guys, you know, just keep that in mind.
Well, it's what when I used to work in call centers, we would have this term called shrinkage, right? Mm-hmm. You would have like so many people come in, but you know that X amount of people statistically are going to call in sick. So when you schedule these people, you have to understand that 10% of those people are not showing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's true though. It's true. Even in my job, when we schedule events, and my boss is like, Tyler, there's going to be 80 people at our event. I'm like, there's going to be 20. 60 of those people are going to forget. Trust me. And he's like, no, we're going to have 80. And then, you know, 20 people show up.
Right. So you got to plan for shrinkage. So like, regardless of whatever you make, you know, right now it says I made $3,000 Canadian. I can guarantee you, when it comes time to collect that money, probably I'm not going to get that much. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. But one thing I do like about Indiegogo is that they tell you straight up how much they're taking, like right there. So I know how much I'm going to be getting for my campaign. Like there's no, oh, I wonder how much I'm actually going to get. I know exactly how much I'm going to get through Indiegogo. But that's a whole nother
right, because that money's already collected.
Yeah,
that's why they're able to tell you that.
Exactly. That's true.
Kickstarter can't tell me that until it actually collects the money, right?
Very true.
So that's why it doesn't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. We have Nasser in the house. Called us cucks. Nasser's been having Nasser's been having some trouble with international shipping, just Twitter problems. But all of his points were valid. So I want to talk about leveling up in indie comics. This is something that I've been thinking about. This is something I've talked with you about in certain areas. I'm gonna answer someone's question real quick. Ali asked me, Tyler, how's the Patreon coming? So I'm gonna just present my idea to everyone real quick, and I'm gonna do it in another video as well. But I'm gonna present my basic idea right now, where starting after Demons Volume 2 campaign, I'm gonna start a Patreon. You can back it, but it's not really gonna go fully active until either 2020 or when I get enough of the Patreon funding. But the goal I want to do with this Patreon funding is that that every 2 months, each person, depending on, it doesn't matter what tier they're in, they're going to be emailed a 20-page digital comic every 2 months. That's part of a series. So 1 year will be like one book. We'll be working on one book, one graphic novel. Every 2 months, I'm going to give them 20 pages. And then if they're at the dollar tier, at the end of that year, they're just going to get everything digital. At the do the physical book. And at the end of the $5 tier, I'll send you the physical book as well as like some art prints of your choosing, and then so on and so forth, plus a bunch of other perks. My idea for this is that it's a way for me to produce comics. It's a way for me to distribute the comics, but it's also a way for me to do this full time to support the indie community by supporting the Draw and Talk community and by still putting out books. What do you think about I'd love to know, Larry, what you think of something like this, and then chat, and then those who are in the chat who just heard this, what do you think of that pitch? Is that something you'd be interested or not? I mean, a $1 a month, $3 a month, you're going to get a 20-page comic every 2 months, fully colored in there.
Great idea. If people are willing to go to a Patreon, I never ran a Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
People have asked me, would there ever be a Patreon for Niobe? And if I was an artist, that could be a little bit something different because I would.
It's hard for writers.
Yeah, it's very hard for writers to come up with monthly goodies. You know what I mean? Every month if you're a writer, and so that's why I personally don't have a Patreon, and I've never subscribed to a Patreon because I can't commit to a monthly fee. I have enough monthly fees as it is, so I just don't do it.
Even $1?
Even $1, because every dollar counts right now. And if I did, if every person said to me, even $1, and I said, oh, well, I suppose you got a point, that'd be like $30, $40 a month.
That's true. If you, depending on how many people that you were, supporting on Patreon, you're absolutely right.
So I just don't do it at all. So
yeah, I guess the reason why I was thinking that is because I was talking with my dad about it, and so for example, Demon, for a graphic novel, I typically price them at like, $40. $40, that includes shipping. So let's say that in December, let's say I were to do an Indiegogo and my graphic novel is $40. However, if you had supported me on my Patreon at $3 a month, instead of just that $40 right there, you would get the book at $36 a month. That's what I was kind of thinking. It's like you're getting the same thing, but you're just putting it in payments, and you're getting like constant updates. That's what I was thinking in my mind.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea. I mean, with this D&D channel that we're doing, there's a website that wants to host us, right? They host a variety of different content. They're interested in the show. We show them a sample, like an unedited version, but they like what they see, but they want us to have a Patreon, right? Mm-hmm. So we got to set up a Patreon for our Die Roll Die broadcasts that we're doing. So, like it or not, it's going to happen, at least for that. But yeah, I mean, Patreon's part of the business now, and that is part of leveling up. When you get to the point that you can actually have a Patreon and offer something to those patrons, that's a level up. That's more exposure. That's more promotion. That's more content that you're producing. And the more that you're putting out and the more people that are getting involved with it, obviously the better. So yes, having a Patreon, if you're able to get to that level, is definitely, a level up,
For sure.
But for me right now, we're kind of, not, I don't think we're at the level yet that Niobe warrants a Patreon, unless if I can find something really cool to offer, those backers. It's not in the cards right now.
But I guess with that's my way. That's my plan. That's my big plan right now of leveling up. Is I want to start this Patreon, and I'm really only going to do that plan, like I said, until I get on Patreon, you can, there's like a meter and it says this is the goal. Like this Patreon will be totally activated once we get this amount of people doing this a month. So, I'm ready to build that for the next 2-3 years and still use Indiegogo and whatnot until I get that. We were talking though we were talking about your plan though to level up as a comic book creator in the indie scene with Niobe. I don't know if you want to talk about that, or if that was just between you and I about your year thing.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to, but we're always trying to level up, right? So right now, I mean, just doing the spin-off book is a sign of leveling up. Because we started off with one book with one character. We introduced a second character in that book, garnered enough interest for me at least to consider the idea of writing a story for her. And when I wrote her story, when I wrote her origin story, I sold myself on the fact that I was going to put it out. And I think people are going to dig it. Anyone that's familiar with Niobe and has read Niobe #2 is going to love Avani Origins #1, because the reason why they love #2 was because of that character. And so I think Avani has enough legs that she could stand out on her own. But everything that we do in concerns of leveling up is a risk. It's a challenge.
It's a huge risk.
Nothing's set in stone. Avani could flop, and maybe everyone will hate it. Or maybe it will do really well. Maybe she becomes popular than the main character. I mean, who knows, right? But in order to level up, you have to gamble. You have to roll the dice, and you have to try new things, or else you'll never know.
I like that. That's the thing about us as creators is we have to. If you don't take a risk, I'm fine with failing. I'm fine with failing. Something I'm not fine with is I'm not fine with not trying.
Right. And if you fall down, okay, we took a gamble, we took a risk, we tried something new. Yeah, it didn't work out. Okay, what's the next thing now? What else can we try?
Exactly. But I mean, imagine if you hadn't taken it and that was the thing that could have just changed your entire career.
Right. Yeah. And I doubt this is that thing, but you never know, right? Now, in regards to Niobe itself, I'm taking a little bit of time off to find the right artist, because the next time we produce a Niobe comic, I want it to look like something you would have bought from Image Comics in the early 90s, something that you would have seen right out of the pages of Witchblade or Danger Girl or Dark Child or Evangeline. I want it to be hot art, like the art that you see on the cover, I want you to see on the inside, and I find that is lacking. And we're guilty of it. We brought in R.B. White, who's done work for Heavy Metal Magazine, Action Lab Comics, Grim Fairy Tales, that sort of thing. And his covers are sexy and gorgeous. When you get into the inside, you're not seeing R.B. White. You're seeing Steve Beaulieu, who's a great artist all on his own. But, there's a contrast, a difference there. And so with the next Niobe, the plan is to level up on our art and make this look like, something that you could have easily have bought from Top Cow Image Studios back in the day.
For sure. And, something that I liked that you just said was that you're taking a year off to do this. I think sometimes we forget, one, that us creators, one, we have to put money into these things. Two, comic books take time. But also just sometimes to make really big plans and to have them succeed, they're going to take a lot of time. I know. I mean, if it was a perfect world, Larry, you would want to be able to do this in a month or two.
Well, I mean, we say a year, but it's probably not even going to be a year. It's probably like 6 months.
But that's still a long time.
Right. It's the time to find the right person at the right price, at the right time frame, to get the done. I've gotten scripts done. They're all done. They're all ready to go. This will be my third attempt to find an artist to do this particular story. Third time.
You've got this.
So the third time has got to be the charm. It's got to be the right person. It has to be perfect, or I'm not going to put it out.
But the fact though that to level up, like we're saying, that it takes time. Your plan is it could be anywhere from 3 months to 6 months to even a year. I was looking at like my calendar of just my comic book plans for this year, and I'm working on this. Well, one, we have Demons Volume 2 campaign going right now, currently on Indiegogo, link in the description. And then once I'm done with this campaign, I'm then going full force helping Brad with the Handyman, which is also guys currently on Indiegogo if you want to check that out. And then once I'm done with that, but while I'm doing all of this, I'm currently drawing a horror graphic novel for someone, for Wes Nadell. And once that's done, I'll be promoting the crap out of that Indiegogo. And then yeah, and then once that one's done, I'm back, and then I'm doing Demons Volume 3. That Indiegogo. But then once I'm done with Wes Nadell, I'm probably going to be doing Justin Ori's Glass Lake comic. And I'm also trying to figure out that when I'm going to put out my own comics, as my other comics, the next step for leveling up. Guys, these things take time.
Well, here, I'll give you my history of leveling up. When we first started Niobe, it was done by 3 guys locally in this city, right? 3 guys that met at a convention that got inspired to put together a comic, and we went ahead and did it. So that was myself, David Coates as the interior artist, and Andre Boulard, who did the cover. And so Niobe 1 was cool, and we did it, and we love it. Like, you know, Niobe 1 is probably the best out of the series, and that was just made by 3 guys locally. But when those 2 guys decided to go on to different endeavors, I had to change teams. And so I leveled up. How did I do that? Well, I contacted someone who's been published in comic books before by the name of R.B. White, and I brought in what I would call a ringer. You know, a guy that has a really sexy style, really sexy covers, can catch the eye, and we brought him in. You know, that was an example of leveling up. You know, we changed the artist to Steve Boyu, who has this almost like Lady Death, a 90s-esque sort of style. With Niobe number 5, when it ever comes out, you know, we leveled up again. We brought on Paul Green, who is infamous for his sexy covers, J. Scott Campbell sort of art style, and we brought in one of the best.
And that cover is sexy, Larry. That cover is sexy.
It is. It's a sexy beast, and the person that colored that is a legend in this business for her work in colors by the name of Ula Moss. So we got our cover game down. Our covers are great. Our covers is probably our strongest point. You know, I would say the second strongest point is our stories, and maybe even, you know, the first strongest point is the stories. Depends if you're a fan of art or you're a fan of writing. But our interior art is what I want to improve. That is our next piece of leveling up. Once we get the interior art on point, things are going to look really, really good.
And this has, by the way, guys, this has got nothing to do with Steve Blues. How do you say his last name?
I'm not saying he's a bad artist at all. I mean, he's the guy that's drawing Avani, and Steve Boyu has been with me ever since Niobe number 2. He's a good, loyal dude. He's a good artist, but you know, even Steve understands that his art still needs a little bit of work, right?
And that's totally fine though, for you to say that and for him to know that. I mean, I worked on a series for someone. I was supposed to draw all 6 issues. I drew the first one for the person. They were new to the game. I was new to the game. And then they said, "Hey, Tyler, listen, thank you so much for drawing this first issue. This was my very first comic. I just think for the next issue, I need to level up and get a new artist." And I was like, you know what? That is totally fine, because I need to level up on my art. And because he went off and got a new artist, and the art's looking good, I wasn't able to then get better at my art and level up. So that's why I wanted to say that it's got nothing to do with Steve Boy's art. It's the fact that everyone just needs to keep leveling up.
Well, look, if you're going to play with the big boys, you know, you have to improve, right? Right now, Steve and I are really great at what we do, and what we do is independent comic book, right? It's an indie book on the local level, right? You know, make no bones about it, that's where we stand. Now, I want to play with the big boys. You know, I want to do, I don't want to do 4-figure Kickstarters. I want to do 5-figure Kickstarters or 6-figure Kickstarters if all, you know, was the, you know, if all my dreams and prayers were answered, right? Mm-hmm. But in order to do that, you know, we need to put up some big boy money, and you know, get a big boy artist, right, and put out some big boy content. You know.
So with that though, guys, this is what I want to say is, by Larry doing this, by wanting to play with the big boys, by spending more money on the art for his comic and on the production, this is a huge risk, because he might not make that money back. However, if he's able to successfully do it, it's going to blow people away. I was looking at Lady Death. That campaign came out today.
Yes, and it's
It made
already
like 100,000 immediately.
yeah, within like the first couple of hours.
Yeah, because you know they spend the money to play with the big boys and the play with the big boys, and that you know that's what it takes to have a 6-figure. Did you see? I don't know if you know this guy. His name is Piccolo on Indiegogo. He has the Icarus. You saw his.
Yeah.
I mean, one, it helps that he has over 1 million followers on Instagram. And his art is fantastic. But within the first day on Indiegogo, he made $300,000.
Yeah, surprising. You know, he's a guy from Brazil that's known for his Teen Titans fan art.
How awesome is that Teen Titans fan art, by the way?
Well,
can we get a comic with that?
I don't know, but this guy just came out of nowhere and exploded on the scene. But we say came out of nowhere, but he has a huge fan base. You know, it's just not someone we're familiar with because he's from a different area of the world, right? Mm-hmm. And he brought, you know, to me, I think he brought that fan base with him when he came over to Indiegogo, you know?
Oh, yeah. But he's also been hustling because when I saw his Instagram page last week, I scrolled all the way to the bottom. He's been posting art for like 5 years, just every single day, posting a drawing. You post a drawing every single day for 5 years and it's good art. Eventually, something that you draw is going to blow up. And in his case, it was the Teen Titans.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, he does Teen Titans fan art, which is kind of interesting because of that whole debate I had on the channel.
I know, right?
Right?
And that was actually one of the examples because he drew a Raven comic book for DC Comics because of that fan art, by the way.
Well, you see, there you go. So he's not just some dude. He's a guy who's been published by DC Comics, which means once you're published, you know, you're no longer an amateur. You know what I mean?
But also with leveling up, it takes years. I mean, I'm very new to the comic book scene. I've only been doing it for 3 years. Larry, you've been doing this a lot longer, right?
Not much longer, bro. I've been doing this since 2014/15. The last half of 14 is when we, you know, kind of started putting all this together. And the first issue Niobe came out in 2015.
Okay, but still, like, you know, 3 to 5 years between us. And you know, we're still hustling, we're still grinding. Someone I want to there's a guy I know. He's a dwarf. He's, you know, small guy. He's a little dude, and his name is Lee Liston. He was an actor. He's an actor. He's a musician, and he's been on tons of YouTube videos that have millions of views, but no one cares about him. He's been on TV, but no one cares about him. He posts all these Instagram pictures. No one cares about him. He's doing this for 8 years. Finally, one day he goes to a gym and lifts something. Someone takes a photo of that. It's a company, and that picture gets 4 million views. And he wakes up the next morning with 20,000 new followers, and he's now getting paid to take pictures of him working out. You never know. You never know when there's going to be that one piece of content that's going to change everything.
Yeah, you know, it's and you can never predict it, right? But here's the thing: if you don't do it at all, it'll never get discovered. Now, exactly. I'm not saying that everyone's going to get discovered and everyone's going to have that viral moment, okay? That's still, you know, like 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000 that something like that actually happens to you. But if you don't do it at all, it will never happen, you know?
Exactly. You could stop doing it on a Monday. You might be like on a Monday, just be like, F this, I'm done. And on Tuesday would have been your big break.
Look, I met creators that put out like a single issue of a comic. It didn't go as well as they wanted, and they quit. They got discouraged, you know what I mean? Because they weren't willing to put in the time it takes to build a brand. They weren't willing to do the grind. They didn't have the passion. These were people who were counting on instant success. And when they didn't get it, they were done and out of the game.
That mentality surprises me because I remember I talked to someone on this channel, and we were talking about their story, and it got me super excited. And then they told me their plan. They're like, yeah, it's a 100 issue story. And I remember just going like, gosh, dang, like that's not going to happen. And I was like, are you sure you should do this? And he goes, yeah, it's going to be a huge success. And I was like, are you sure? Like 100 issues in the indie scene. Are you sure? He goes, yeah, I've got this. And I said, okay, I've got this. So I backed his campaign. I read the book, which means I feel like if I bought the book, I am allowed to review it on my site, on my YouTube channel. And I did, and I was kind of like, I read it and I basically roasted it. There were some good elements, but I basically roasted it, and he quit doing comics because of that video.
Well, you know what? Maybe it's better that he did then. You know, if you can't take that, right? If you can't take a little bit of criticism, you can't take a little bit of roasting, whether Tyler was serious or whether he was just, having fun with the guy. Maybe you shouldn't do it, because once you put out a piece of work, at that point, it's out there for the public to consume, and the public is going to praise and criticize said work when they see it. We live in an age now where people are able to put their thoughts down within 5 seconds and share it with the world, right?
Exactly.
So
Everyone has an opinion now. Everyone.
Right. And they have an opinion about everything that they consume, whether that be television and movies, comic books and novels, games that they're checking out, whatever source of entertainment it is, they're going to have an opinion on it. And believe me, in this day and age, they're going to share it. That comes with the good and with the bad,
Exactly. So really, I guess, guys, the best way for us to level up in comics is just to keep hustling and keep grinding. And there's going to be days where it's going to suck. I mean, Larry, have there been days where you're just like, I'm bouncing, I'm out? Have you ever had those days?
Niobe #2, we almost bounced. Niobe #2 wasn't hitting the numbers that I was hoping for. We weren't going to get funded when I first launched that campaign, and I had canceled that campaign. And I thought I was done then and there, because I was going through a breakup and I wasn't handling things very well. And, I didn't care about comics. I cared more about the personal problems I was going through. And my head wasn't in the game. And I canceled that campaign. A month or so later, I came back to it, and we rocked it. We got funded. But that was because I was in a better spot at that point. I was more focused, right? But yeah, I almost gave up a couple of times, dude. When you are trying to find the right artist and you go through 2 people and it's still nothing, is getting done, and now you have to look for a third, again, you start to question yourself. It's like, wow, it's not even the will to do it. It is, can I afford to keep doing this and still, be at this level, right? So like in my case, I pay for everything out of pocket, and I don't pay on the back end on Kickstarter. I don't give people a percentage of ownership or anything like that. I give them a page rate and they get paid. And if it succeeds, I benefit. If it fails, I'm the one to blame, right? No one else is at fault for that but me. And so since I do pay out of pocket, out of the money that I make working at the hotel, everything is a huge risk. And some people will like to call this a business. Until you actually start making money at it, it's not a business. It's an expensive hobby.
It's funny is I've been saying the opposite. I say you should treat this. Maybe I should fix what I say now. You should treat this like a business, but until you start making money, it's an expensive hobby.
It is. It's an expensive hobby. It's the most expensive hobby I've ever done. Okay.
It really is.
We haven't made money. We have. But we haven't made money enough that, hey, I can go quit my day job and do this full time. Money comes in spurts, right? Some money comes in when you do a Kickstarter and you're really successful. Maybe you get some extra money if you sell a few extra books at a show that that you weren't thinking you were going to do. You know what I mean? Money comes in spurts and it's random and you can't count on it. So
yeah. And I think another thing though is that I think we as creators, we compare ourselves. We compare ourselves to other creators. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is my guilty moment. There's this girl who lives around here. I'm not going to say her name, and I'm not going to say her Instagram handle because I don't want you guys to follow her. But we met a couple times. I met her 4 years ago, and she's like, "Yeah, I make comics." I was like, "Oh, I make comics too." And she was a phenomenal artist then, and she still is a good artist. And she put out her 0-issue comic, which was 12 pages, and the whole town, my whole comic book scene talk was like, yeah, go her, she's awesome. And then I put out 20 books in those 4 years of mine, and then I don't get squat in my local scene. And then I found out I was tabling next to her at a free comic book day, and I was like, I have to get this comic. I was working on the hardline right here, guys. Right here. The only reason why I have this made copies printed, because I wanted to bring it to the free comic book day, and when she goes, "Huh, well, can I see what your art looks like now?" and I could show her and be like, "Yeah, look at this shit." And when we got there, when we got to the free comic book day 4 years later, I have all these comics that I've worked on, and she's still handing out that Zero issue. And it pissed me off that everyone was like loving that. And I'm like, she's not doing anything in comics. She just doodles and she shows this Zero issue. And then, guys, the worst thing that pissed me off so bad, which was last month, because everyone loves her in the local scene, we have Marvel and DC comic book artists around us. A guy who drew comics for Marvel was like, "Hey, your art's good. Here's the phone number and email address to a Marvel editor." And she's sending now samples, but she's never worked on anything more than a 12-page comic. That busted my balls.
Well, jealousy is a real thing.
Yeah, I was jealous. So I'm trying to say it was a moment of weakness. She deserves the success that she does, because I was thinking that she didn't. But yeah, that was a moment of jealousy for me.
But, I mean, some people are just really lucky like that. They meet the right people. They make the right friends. They're in the right cliques, and things happen for them. People got to understand that people call this an industry, and it's not really an industry. It's friends. It's a group of friends, or in some cases, they'll like to even call themselves family. And that family, quite honestly, has the power to vote you in and vote you out.
No, I like that you said that. Yeah, the comic book business it's not a company. It's a group of friends, because the editors decide, like, okay, I don't like this writer, but like this writer is my friend. We go out to drink together.
Right.
You're on Batman now. Congratulations.
Yep. And it does work like that. And it was explained to me by professionals. They explain it to me that it's more like a fraternity than anything else. And they do talk about each other. They do keep tabs on each other. They know who's up and coming. And they already know before you do whether they're going to accept you into their little crew or not.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's how it works, bro. It's how it works. There's a Marvel artist here that lives in my city, and he doesn't like me. And if he wants to, sabotage me at every turn, he could, and maybe he has, and I don't even know. You know what I mean? But this world comes down to personal opinions more than the merits of the work that you're producing. Okay, so artist A could be better than artist B, but if artist B goes with the flow that everyone wants them to project, artist B actually may have more chance for success than artist A, even though artist A is more talented.
Well, we see that so much. Well, I mean, we were seeing that now in mainstream comics, where we're you go check out some Marvel books and just look at the art, look at the standard of writing, and you just realize that all these guys and gals are buddy with each other, and
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're a black sheep, if you will, or you're just a lone wolf, or you're just on your own and you haven't made those friends or those connections, it makes what you do that much harder, especially if you're trying to get into the pro level. Look, anyone can come out and make an independent comic book, right? If you got enough money, and that's what this comes down to. If you got enough money, anyone can make a comic book, okay? You can hire a writer, you can write it yourself, you can draw it yourself, or hire an artist. But if you have enough money, we live in a world now where self-publishing is almost the norm. Anyone can do it. Now, whether you go past that or not really depends on a great many of factors. A, do you actually have talent? B, are people interested in your work? And C, how well do you get along with your peers?
Mm-hmm. Man, Max Visaggio said that she wouldn't come on my show, so maybe I've been blacklisted.
Well, maybe working at, and I know that you've always had ambitions to work for Marvel, but what I'm trying to say to you, man, is maybe that's not such a bad thing right now, that maybe you may have to hold off on that,
Yeah. And that's the nice thing about, indie comics is that, like you said, anyone with enough money or, just who's hustling, you eventually can make a comic. If it takes you a whole entire year to save up for that one-shot comic, I say do it. If it's going to be a really quality book, save up for a whole year and then get that comic book made. And it's just all about grinding. Ali said in the chat earlier that I'm 90 subs away from 1,000, which I'll be super pumped once we get to 1,000. Just constantly grow the community. Like, I'm all about constantly growing the indie community. I'm trying to bring everyone together, and I think that's all we need to do. Heck, we should become our own friend fraternity group.
Well, I've started a few of those. I have Unity on Facebook.
I like that, and I like Unity. It's although someone almost fought me the other day on Unity,
Well,
almost.
will you bring those issues to me because I'm the one that runs the show
Oh,
over
I
it.
will. I say almost because they didn't reply to me, which
You know,
was
here's the thing. You know, I do believe in having leaders, and flat out, I'm the one that runs Unity. you know, and if there's an issue, I will deal with it. But what Unity is a group of creators that get together, and the whole idea behind it is to network and to maybe collab and work with each other and that sort of stuff, or share information, but without the politics and the drama. Right? That is the core rule of Unity. And if I see politics or drama happening in my Unity groups, I'm going to be the first one, and I want to be the only one that kind of nips it in the butt because I'm the one that's responsible for running that page.
for sure, for sure. I totally agree. We should all, and then Britton says, but we're already friends on here though. Samurai, and then Christopher C says, well, I'm screwed. Mark Wade has too many of my tweets smack talking him. And Samurai Raccoon says, John Malin has his fraternity group, as does Ethan Van Sciver, so why not us? Exactly.
Well, everyone has their clicks, right? And you know what? And there's nothing wrong with that. You're going to gravitate towards the people that you like, right? And that's just how human beings work. If you go to work, at the office or at the warehouse or wherever it is that you happen to work, there's always going to be a group of friends that hang out with each other. There's always going to be that clique. If you're in high school, how many cliques do you see in high school? You know what I mean? And in comic books, it's no different. There are going to be guys who like each other's personalities that mesh really well, and they're going to get together and hang out. Ethan has his inner circle, right? I have my inner circle. Tyler has his inner circle. That's just the way the world works,
Exactly. And yeah, like we said, it was actually crazy when you sent me that link one night, and all of a sudden there's all those comic book creators. I'm like, holy crap! And then Brad's like, yeah, we do this like all the time. I was like, oh dang, and that's just, everyone has their cliques. Everyone is building their own community, and everyone, and that's just what you have to do. And like you said, that's why I brought up that story of me being jealous. And ultimately, yeah, it was a weakness, and just, I just got to grind a little differently than her because she knows all the right people. But so I guess before we end this, Larry, what is your biggest advice then to those who are creating indie comics right now? What's like in
terms of moving up, this is what I would say to them.
Yeah.
Is, whenever you do your comic, and I'm going to break this down into two categories: your comic and your promotion. Okay.
I like that.
So you're going to do your comic, and then you're going to do the promotion from that comic. Now, when it comes time to do the next one, to level up, you got to look at both aspects. You got to look at the product itself and say, how can I make the next one better? And you got to look at your promotion and go, how can I make this better, right? So whether it's like, maybe bringing on a different artist for a variant cover for the product, or maybe you're going to expand your social media reach and do a little bit more networking, you always got to look at how you are actually going to grow and take a serious look at it and break it down. Like I said, we started a comic book with 3 local guys. Now I'm outsourcing work to people who work in the industry, like an RB White, a Paul Green, or a Nuala Moss. That's just one sample of leveling up. I find that after 5 years of practice, my Facebook and my Twitter, like Twitter is something I adopted this year, Tyler. A couple of years ago, I wouldn't even bother with Twitter for promoting. So that has helped level me up. Doing YouTube videos, coming on streams like this, doing your own streams is another sign of leveling up, because the more you put yourself out there, obviously the more exposure you're going to get. And even if it's just a couple of people at a time, you got to build your army one by one, folks. They're not going to come in droves unless if you're really lucky. So you got to earn every single backer, every single subscriber, every single follower you get. And not only do you got to earn them, but you got to make sure they stay with you.
Exactly. And that is probably the most truest thing I've heard all day. Is that you need to build, one by one, your subs, your followers, and just keep doing it over and over and over. Yeah, you might get lucky and hit that one content that you're going to wake up one day with 10,000 something. But until then, one by one by
One by
one.
one, man.
And, and expanding. I mean, you have your Rebel Gaming show, and you've been doing it steadily. You know, you'll get 30 to 50 views, and then one night you had what 360 views on that stream, that DOA.
Dead or Alive stream, yeah.
So you never know. I mean, I hope everyone's not ticked off. Let me know in the chat what you guys think. But I've been posting those Batman videos in the morning. I hope that doesn't annoy you guys. One, I'm passionate about Batman. I love Batman. I love everything about Batman. But two, this is a way for me to attract other people who like Batman comics, but aren't necessarily creators. So I hope that doesn't annoy you guys. But I do hope you guys like my Batman videos.
Yeah, you got Britton in the chat here. This is like the third time I think he's posted this question. He goes, "Do you think I'm passionate about writing?" And he's directing this at you, Drum.
Oh, frick! I'm a little sorry, Britton. Britton, I can't answer for you, brother, because I don't see you write, and I'm not saying that you don't write. I just don't see it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, until we actually see something in our hands, it's hard for us to tell that, right?
I know there's a guy on Facebook, and his name is Don Hughes, and what he would do is he would every single night post how many words, and he would screenshot. He goes, "I wrote 10,000 words today."
I don't know if this is John Diller, but Diller draws.
Oh, that's John. John did another revamp.
So John says, "I hate him." John Diller has better Batman videos, Tyler.
Screw you, John. I've never seen one Batman video on you except drawing. Screw you. No, John's awesome. John's awesome. Allie says, "How's your character development going, Tyler?" It's going really well, Allie. It's kind of put it a step back because I'm really focused. There's a couple things I'm gonna say right now on the channel. Is I'm really focused on getting Undead Row done for West Nadell. So my personal projects are being put to the side, and then also my work life balance is completely off the rails right now. And so what that means is I'm doing a mixture of I have a day job, so I work 10 hours a day. Then I come home and I do these streams for like an hour or two, plus making these extra Batman videos, and then I wake up at like 5 a.m. to do this, and then I'm only spending time with my wife for like an hour. And it's just like not like things are kind of like, and then plus I have to find time to go to the gym. Things are just not going well. Not like I just like my balance of like trying to figure things out. So currently, probably after next week, because next week is my final scheduled of interviews. I'm not going to be taking a step back from the channel, but I probably won't be doing like I was on 4 streams. I've done 4 streams this week.
Brother, welcome tomorrow. I did 3 yesterday alone.
Yeah, and
I don't even mean my own streams. I was on 2 streams yesterday from other people, and I want to give a shout out to Brad Ashworth because Pencil for Life, because you guys are promoting the Handyman on Indiegogo, and so I was on that stream with the boys over there. I was on the Needle Mover Society. I joined those guys over there as well, and then I did my own gaming stream. So yeah.
It's a lot. And I have a wife that I need to see, guys. Like my wife's in there like right now just watching TV waiting for me, and I'm just not spending the quality time that I need to be.
I mean, you talk about balance in life. Like here's the thing. I work 3 days a week. Boom, I work Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night. During those nights, I'm doing nothing, right? I get home on Tuesday, okay? And immediately, I'm drug into a couple of streams. Wednesday night, I got to go to Dungeons and Dragons and run the game for the comic shop, okay? Thursday night, I'm here doing Die Roll Die, our YouTube channel. On top of my own comic book channel, on top of running the Kickstarter, on top of doing the gaming channel, on top of just living a normal life, and then there's always these weird side things that I get drugged into. I got 4 appearances coming up in the next 2 months, okay? So 3 cons and 1 free comic book day that I got to do. Dude, man, I don't know where I'm going to find the time to do everything, bro. I'm there and I hear you.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it's hard. It is super hard, and it's one of those things where I like grinding. I want to do all these things, and if I guess if I wasn't married, I'd probably still do everything I'm doing right now.
Oh God, even if you weren't married, bro, you just take on more stuff, right?
It's true. I probably would take on more stuff.
You would just take on more stuff, and that'd just be more stuff you got to juggle. That's my problem is, I've been asked to do a couple of other, streams and projects, and I'm like, man, I would love to, run this online D&D game that you want me to do. For example, if someone asked me to do that, but I'm like, but I'm already involved in a channel that does that. And on top of that, I just don't know where I could find the time on top of trying to do my comic book as well. And yeah, man, I got 4 days to operate out of, and I got 8 days worth of shit to do.
Exactly. I'm actually thinking, I'm gonna do this starting next week. If you see me right here, guys, I'm just sitting. We're talking with Larry. We're having a good time. What I should be doing is right here talking with Larry and drawing and killing two birds with one stone. I think I can draw and talk at the same time. That's why the channel's the freaking name. Draw talk. So yeah. Well, guys, I want to give one final plug to Avani, because this comic's awesome. The art is so sexy. It's so sexy.
Slow down a little bit. Show them the covers.
Oh, I'm gonna. So there you go, guys. There's that cover. I mean,
cover you see there, that ultra sexy one, that is done by RB White. Like I said,
I'll show your mom.
Yeah, well, he's done work for Zombie Tramp. People who know Dan Mendoza would know what Zombie Tramp is. He's just a fantastic artist that just has that sexy vibe, and it shows. Then you have the Chibi over there. So if RB White's a little bit too sexy for you, and you need something a little bit more a little bit more adorable and cute, then you have that. And then you have the blank variant cover, which is always cool. I love getting artwork done. I'm a big sucker for getting commissions. I spend a lot of money on my personal art collection, so I always put out a variant for the blanks. And then at the bottom right, you have a cosplay cover. So that's a real photo of a girl who cosplayed Avani. Her name is Jeanette. And then we just kind of ran it through an editor, and she really loved it. And so yeah, you have that cover as well.
And I like this print. It's very it's very old school.
Yeah. So the first one, again, is by Sweet Heme Art. We've had that print around for a little while, and we're offering that up because people seem to like it. And then you got Pablo Romero. So some people in the circles, they'll know who he is. Pablo Romero does a really great style. He's got a very sort of 80s vibe to him. When you look at that image, you kind of see old school sort of newsprint. You can almost smell the paper coming from that.
Can.
You open up like an X-Men comic book from like 1986. You know what I mean? And he's got that style to it. And I discovered him when he did a commission for Brian Ball of Rags. And when I saw that commission pop up on Twitter, I immediately messaged this guy. I said, "Hey, can you do something for me?"
Oh, I've seen that, because he did it kind of in this style.
Yeah, and within 3 days, he produced, brother.
Wow, that's good.
It was the fastest I ever had a commission done. It was like 3 days, and it was done.
Wow. So everyone, I put the link in the chat. I'll do it one more time. Go follow Larry. His channel is, let me put it in there. Is your URL Rebel Comics now?
No, I have to change it. Right now it's still youtube.com/Niobe Comic.
Boom, put that in the chat. So everyone go sub to that. Larry is streaming just as much as I am.
Oh God, man. But it's been fun because I have a lot of creators that want to come on. I'm actually bringing on Brad Ashworth next week. And nice. I'm going to have him on Rebel Comics. I'm going to give him the Rebel Comics treatment, and we're going to talk all about the Handyman. And if you have a few minutes, like I'm not sure what day it is, Tyler, but I'll send you a message. And if you happen to have a few minutes, and jump on as well. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure. Everyone, go show Larry some love. Go follow him on Twitter. Go follow him on the YouTube. Go check out his Kickstarter. You can back it at $5 American. This is going to be an awesome comic. I can't wait for my copy.
$5 Canadian.
Oh, $5 Canadian. So it's like $4 for US.
Yeah. So, when Americans see those prices there, understand that's in Canadian dollars. You actually get charged less.
Yeah. So there you go. And then also, guys, don't forget that we have Demons Volume 2 currently on Indiegogo. We're trying to hit to that 3,000 mark so that we can get trading cards. If you want some free comics, go right here, hit the free download of issue number 1. That's 20 pages. And if you want a free preview of volume 2, hit that link right there. You'll be taken to a Dropbox. And, there's a volume 2 preview, and you can check out Travis's art, and you can see kind of what's in store for this volume. So yeah, thanks guys so much. Hit that subscribe button, like and comment. Don't forget to smash that like button, or how I heard someone say smash that melee button. I think that's fun. Tomorrow there won't be a new Draw and Talk episode, but in the morning there will be a new Batman episode. It's only 3 minutes. It's the top 3 actors I think should play Batman. And then Saturday morning we're going to be doing episode number 2 of Congrats You Made It. It's our Saturday morning celebration of the weekend. And I always need topics to talk about. So if you want to send me a tweet on what topic I should talk about on Saturday, feel free to. Larry, thanks so much for being on the show, brother.
Tyler, me and we've been friends for a number of years now, and I don't even look at this like coming on and shilling the book. I look at this as just me coming on, and
we're just talking.
Yeah, and I love it, man. And anytime, Tyler's always a regular on my show. Open door for him to come on anytime he likes. And Tyler, I come on here semi-regularly, and I love it when I do. I am going to go back to work and work with the guys from Die Roll Die. We still got some editing to do on some videos. That's what we're actually doing tonight. And they were going to come in and say hello, but they decided, maybe they just give me the room for a bit, and so we can have some privacy. And that was very nice of them to do that.
That's awesome. All right, guys, you guys have a freaking good night. Peace out. We'll see you. I'll see you on the weekend.
Have a good one, bro.